Welcome to the Something Good podcast, hosted by Renee Mueller, powered by VRLY. This is where we interview top business professionals, industry insiders, operational managers, and thought leaders from around the nation, diving into hot current topics to help you experience something good.
So today we're going to welcome Erin Nahorny to the show. So Erin is a licensed realtor with our office. Erin, how long have you been in business?
So I started in the summer, June of 2018, right? It'll be 3 years this summer.
Let me check my records.
So yes.
that sounds about right. I cannot believe that though.
I know. Like time flies, it goes so fast.
It's crazy. Yeah. And so we've joked about the fact that many of the agents here started as my clients, and that's exactly how you started. And I can say the same actually for agents even in other offices. So
right.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to say we've known each other for...
We moved to Columbus in 2005,
Okay.
And then I started working at the Center for Survivors not too long after that,
Okay.
And that's when we first met.
Yeah, and I think if I remember right, it was Rhonda Freneau that made the intro.
Well, actually, so yeah, that's true. We probably met you right when we moved.
I
Rhonda was
wanna
our
say,
agent.
Yeah, because I remember going along with her. She was kind of my mentor,
Yeah,
honestly. She would take me under
right.
her wing. And
When did you start? What year?
2000.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you were just, I mean,
As
you
a
were
baby
a few
realtor.
years
That's
in.
what they called me, baby realtor.
There you go.
Yeah, now there's
Oh,
many
that's
that
so
are younger than
funny.
me. So
Yeah, we bought that cute little house on 33rd Street.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That is so funny. So yeah, I guess since we moved to town, so
cool. That's awesome.
16 years, Renee. We've been friends.
I want to say we've helped you sell.
Is that right? Did I do bad math? Hold on.
Who cares? No, I think you did great. I think that's about right. So
Oh, that's funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
we've,
So it's funny because thinking back to that time, that was the first time I met you, or those first years. It was because you were one of the biggest supporters of the Center for Survivors events.
Is that right?
The Summer Sizzle.
Oh, yeah. And you probably know as well as anybody else that that's really my biggest passion, honestly, is helping any organization I can, any person I can, grow in Columbus, whether that's through monetary donations. Back then it was probably more just donating my time.
Well, and
so
attending, bringing people, getting people involved.
Yeah,
Yep.
I love it. And that's still our mission today. I mean, Keller Williams, KW Elite, we do tons of events. I think every month we try to host one. And so I know Sammy's has their big kickoff in August, September.
September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So
Okay, so last year, was it postponed or canceled
It was
altogether?
canceled last
Okay.
year, stupid COVID.
Yeah, I know. And that's been a year
know.
this month, so that's hard to believe too.
I know.
So tell us a little bit about why you got into the business and what you think of the business the last 3 years. Now, you're probably one of our most experienced agents, other than myself and Dawn, I would say.
Wow,
So
that's
3 years.
crazy.
Yeah.
So, you, it's funny because you could tell my story, but
I could.
we, my son Sam was diagnosed with
Yep.
cancer in 2012. He was 4.
I remember
and
almost the minute it happened when I heard.
I'm sure you remember
because
who
Cora
told you.
and he were on the same softball
Oh, that's
field,
right.
not the same team,
That's
but
right.
same softball field. And I remember somebody coming up to me at Bradshaw saying, "Did you hear about Sammy Nahorny?" And I was like, "What? No." So yes, I still get chills when I hear that story. And
It's always crazy to us to hear people's stories of remembering that, because it was so traumatic it's so traumatic when something like that happens to you.
Yep.
It's a traumatic for other people when it happens to your friends, and so, it was such a crazy hard time. But so for several years, I quit my job at the center because it was all focused on Sam and his treatment and his health. A couple years down the road from that, and he was doing pretty good and things were stable, and
can't cry on the podcast.
no, I know I'm about to, and I
know.
don't usually do that.
I know.
We were talking about what we were going to do with our house, and you and I were talking about how could we ever leave that house, because it's such a traumatic time in our lives, and what if something changed with Sam, and would we not want to be there? Sorry.
No, you're good. I know.
But that's
it was
a lot.
so difficult. I remember. And I remember you telling me you guys had already had so many changes. And I think Ella was kind of struggling because,
You were gone a lot.
You were gone a lot.
So anyway, things did stabilize, and Sam was doing really good, and I was starting to think about going back to work, and social work and counseling had always been my career.
Right.
And I had an advanced degree, so I always felt like I would have to go back to that. But at that point, we had started Sammy Superheroes, and I was very involved, and still am very involved in just the day-to-day running of the foundation. And I just couldn't imagine putting all of that emotional effort into a job beyond that. And I remember you saying to me, you just come work with me. Like, you know a lot of people, you love real estate. This is interesting to you. Why don't we talk about that? And I bet you said that to me 50 times.
Yeah. And I think more so, Erin, because you're one of the most genuine people I've ever met. And also because of your background. So as you know, in your 3 years of experience, a lot of this is counseling people and helping them through an emotional time, whether they have any issues with their family or children or anything like that you did. We see a lot of cases where people are, unfortunately getting divorced, or we see joyous occasions too, where they're adding children and they need a bigger home. And so it is counseling them through the emotional piece of purchasing a property. So, and businesses too.
I always think it's always interesting when I tell people my background. They're like, "Oh, well, then this is
perfect,
right up your alley."
Yes. Or like Cheryl, who's a probation officer, right? Or in law enforcement of some sort.
Like, so it is interesting because it's such a huge decision and one of the biggest decisions you make in your life. And so helping people to navigate that, absolutely, it does. It fits right in.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really thought about that a lot before I was doing it, but I find myself constantly using skills like negotiating skills, or just kind of like counseling people through when things don't feel very good.
Right.
Let's look at that from every perspective.
Right.
Why is it this way, and what's going on, and how do we think about it in a way that makes the most sense for you, So
when looking at the huge amount of success you've had over the last 3 years, I mean, it's pretty obvious that you know how to read people, you know how to communicate, and that people trust you. And the one thing I can say is going to be a definite in this business that will never go away is it's a belly-to-belly business, and it's a people business. And if people don't know that, then they are not going to last long.
Right.
So, your success is definitely evident in that. And so tell us about a few challenges you've had with the business, if there have been any. I think that you've always held your head high and been really positive under most circumstances that I can think of. So,
I think that when the challenges that I've really had, the biggest things would be people not finding or figuring out things the way they want it to go. Like it doesn't happen very often, but when they have their heart set on this one property and they don't get it. Right. To try to walk them through that, this one wasn't meant to be. And in about 6 months or 3 months or 2 weeks, we're going to figure out why.
Yeah, exactly.
The right thing is going to happen. And then you're going to say, okay, now I get it. I understand why that didn't work out. And, I have not had an experience that I would say truly didn't work out the way I felt like it was meant to. And I think, I don't think I've had anyone that would say that they were unhappy with how things went truly, in the end. I mean, sometimes there's challenges in the middle, but yeah, for the most part, it's just, things that you just have to walk through and get through and come out the other side and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's great. So, and I've watched your videos even here recently, going back to the beginning of Sammy's. So we'll touch on that just a little bit again. You have such a great network of huge supporters and huge advocates in your close friends and your family.
Yeah.
And you grew up in Columbus.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
And your husband did as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your circle.
Yeah. So I grew up in Columbus, went to SCOTUS to high school. Chris went to Lakeview. And when we moved back to Columbus, it was interesting because we kind of thought, oh, we'll just jump in and we'll know people. And, Columbus is a little bit more difficult to jump right into. People are involved in different activities. And
Did you think this back then, Erin, or is it?
Yeah,
you think it's the case now too?
I don't know,
because I get a different sense, and I'm from here as well. Moved away, swore I was never coming back, and I've told my story a couple times. Yeah, and so coming back, I decided I was going to make it into something I wanted rather than complain. But and I was hesitant because growing up here, it's like, oh, everybody knows who I am and my story and maybe struggles I've gone through. Most people that I find that come into Columbus that are new tell me how welcoming it is because we have the most industry per capita in the whole state. And so people here are used to seeing new groups and new faces, and people might come in for a short stint and then they're gone. And so we do have a lot of transplants here and there.
Yeah, I think for us, it was the time of our lives. I think our children Ella was 6 months old when we moved.
Oh,
and
sure.
so, I think once our kids started to get into activities and into
Sports
school,
and stuff. Yep.
then it's just so funny because it's like you meet people everywhere you go, and then it's like
there's always something to do.
Overlaps everywhere, and in every, like you said, Cora and Sam playing t-ball together.
I know she's still on City League. So
isn't that so funny?
Yeah,
I mean,
it is. And so you're your family owned a business.
Yeah, my dad's family. Yeah, my dad and my grandfather, my great uncle owned Columbus Hydraulics Company here in Columbus when I was growing up, and they sold that business in, I think it was 2016. My husband still works there. Stayed on with the new ownership.
And is that why you came back?
That's why we came back.
Job there. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So.
And that building is for sale.
Yeah, that building is for sale.
How much is that, Erin?
It's $1.25 million right at the moment.
All right. Any strong interest in it?
Showing on Tuesday.
That's awesome. It's amazing to me. That's another area that I want to touch on a little bit, and you want to get into commercial a little bit more.
So, I would say my strongest interests are in new construction and commercial.
Okay.
I enjoyed the process of building myself.
Okay.
And you walked me through that.
I
when
loved
we
it.
built.
You and your sister. Yep.
And I thought I would be more difficult. I thought
easy.
I thought I would have.
How about real estate? You don't think of that of real estate, right?
But you know what I mean. I thought it would be a more difficult process.
Yeah.
And I found it to be interesting and easy, and that was before I started.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed that, and I feel like people are afraid of it, and it's.
I'm going to take credit for that.
Yeah, you should. And it's not nearly as scary as people think it is.
If you have the right people in place and you have the right systems in place,
absolutely,
it's going to make it a lot easier because it's more organized. It's not so chaotic. And
it is not that difficult.
Right.
It really isn't.
And back then, prices weren't escalating every other day. So, it's a little more difficult now. So new construction is crazy, just like the rest of the market. So,
and then commercial is something I have a strong interest in. You've encouraged me with some different trainings and podcasts, and we did the commercial summit not too long ago. It's definitely a niche that is its own thing. There's a lot to learn. I'm always, feeling like, ooh, there's a lot I don't know.
Right.
But it's also something that I'm really interested in, and growing this community, developing the community, all the things that you guys have worked on for many years.
That has been my passion for sure.
Something that I feel strongly about as well.
And I can tell. And I think that's one of the other things I really saw in you in the beginning, Erin. And I looked back at some of my notes when I was actually recruiting you.
Oh, wow.
Which I really didn't recruit you. But I looked back at my notes and, we talked about business recruitment. That's something that I've done for many years. And we've brought in several new businesses, especially the last 2 years into Parkway Plaza. I'm proud of that. First and foremost, the development is the other piece of it. And so I would love to pass all that knowledge on, and I really think now is the perfect time, and I think you probably better keep your learning cap on because it sounds like we're going to go through a lot more changes coming up. And so the other thing that we'll talk about a little bit, and we don't really have all the answers on, is you live in an area where there is a lot to talk about, a lot maybe up and coming, and you've been gracious enough to give us some updates on what's going on over there. I think you've been more involved because the neighborhood, it sounds like, is going through all the meetings, and I was talking with Suing yesterday, actually, when I ran into him. I don't even remember where we were, but anyway, he was asking me what I knew, and I said, you probably know more than I do, and if you don't, then you should call Erin. So, but I know enough, and I've done a little bit of research on behalf of some of the businesses here. But so what's your take on it? And it being the casino.
It being the casino, and without any, I think, there's no official word of where it's going, but there are positives and negatives to it. There are. And I think there's a lot yet to be seen in the development plans. I'm really anxious to see what that looks like and what I think as this starts to evolve, we're going to find out what the proposed benefits are to our community. And then I think also that's the time that we'll be able to ask questions about, concerns that we have too. And so I think that's where, there's a lot of unknowns right now, and I'm just trying to keep my eyes open and ears open and understand everything that's going on and learn. Right now I'm learning about zoning.
Well, that's a good topic. So Columbus really has a lot happening right now. The last 5 years, the last 2 or 3, I can say that there has been more development than what I've seen.
Gosh.
And I think it's about to happen faster than we probably even expect. And
I agree.
So definitely getting in there, getting involved. If there's something you don't like, I tell agents here, and you know this all the time, if you don't like it, get involved, try to make a difference. And so that's been my take on it. And there is good and bad. I know I told you recently I was in Sioux City doing some research there because looking at the direction those businesses have gone and the community has gone since bringing in gambling, bringing in the casino, and they've got Hard Rock and some other names there too. So just to look at the trajectory of that community after that came in 15 years ago, I think I met with one of the head attorneys for Ho-Chunk and got some information from him as far as how development arm in Sioux City has gone and how quickly it developed once that was announced.
Really?
And so just looking at the demographic and really how all of that changes their landscape. Yeah. And it's been mostly good, I have to say.
Yeah.
So
I'll be so interested to see that. We talk a little bit about one of the challenges being that Columbus isn't really a destination city. People aren't coming here to
yet.
People aren't coming here to go get sushi yet. We need to bring
sushi.
We need sushi here.
Well, I guess Hy-Vee has sushi. So sorry, Hy-Vee, if you're listening.
But yes, you know what I mean? Like people aren't just like, oh, let's go to Columbus for the weekend.
Right.
And that's what, does that bring this? I mean, maybe potentially that does bring some of that.
Right.
So, like I said, there's a lot of unknowns still, and I think a lot that could come because of it too. So,
I would agree. We've already had calls from other commercial developers just asking questions. They're hearing things. And as you know, when this was passed into legislation and gambling was approved to be legal in Nebraska, I mean, I don't know if people really realized that this was coming down in some of the smaller communities.
No.
But because of the way they wrote the bill and what's required, Columbus
the horse track.
Yep, exactly.
Columbus is one of those.
Yep.
Yep.
One of 5, I think, in Nebraska. And we're right smack dab in the middle of the state. So to me, it does make sense.
Yeah.
And if you look at, again, just how fast we've grown and how much has changed, even when I go to our Omaha office, we're literally 65 minutes away from Omaha now.
Right.
And the quicker they get the 4-lane done, it's going to be even, closer, obviously, or quicker to get there, I should say. And so it really is astonishing even to me. So it'll be exciting to see what happens down the road.
It'll be interesting to see what the next steps are and just, see how that develops. So.
Yeah, I love getting the updates from you. I love that you're so involved in the community and all the projects and in helping, first and foremost. Like I said, this is a people business. So you'll have to keep us updated on what's going on with Sammy's as we go along. And anything you need with regard to commercial, I'd love to be on that journey with you and help you. And like I said, just take all the information I have and put it right in your brain. So we'll keep moving with that.
Going back to Sammy's, though,
since
since you're interviewing me about being an agent with KW, I just have to say my favorite thing about being an agent with this business is the give back. By you as the leader and then by all the agents. I mean, you personally have been donating to Sammy's for many years as one of our top donors, which, not that I was choosing a different path or anything, but for me, there was never a question because your support of not just Sammy's, but all the different things in the community is, always been over the top and awesome. So
I appreciate that, Erin. Most definitely.
It means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to a lot of people. So
I appreciate that greatly, and I think our team is very gracious and very giving of their time and their donations. Yes. I would agree with you. I think that that's probably the biggest benefit that we have. I don't know if I even call it a benefit, but I mean, obviously, a lot of that comes from the top.
It's a genuine sense of caring about each other and about our causes, and about the causes that are important to us, and that's real. Yeah. So that's really awesome.
Right. Yeah. We give as much as possible. That's been most definitely top of my list, and getting involved. And I don't think that we would be where we are today without that. This is definitely not for the money. I can say it's been how to impact others. How do we impact others' lives? How do we impact
community?
The community, exactly. One word, one action makes such a big difference in people's lives, and you don't even know. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that, what you just said, and I've had other people come up to me on a fairly regular basis and say, do you remember that one time you told me this, and I went and did that, and I can't believe it, and I'm so happy that I listened to you. And I can't say that I'm right 100% of the time, but I do think that, again, when your heart is genuinely in the right place and you want to help grow the community and help other people and organizations, it shows.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Yeah. And I love that our team is that way too, and they're all involved. So any last words of wisdom or anything else you want to share?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. This is so fun. We should just keep talking.
Exactly. I agree. It'd be like a Comedy Central here. Did you ever watch, what was that show with the Mystery Science Theater? Where the guys would commentary in front of the screen?
No, but you know what I did start listening to? Do you know Jackie Eichhoff?
No.
Yeah, you do. Jackie Eichhoff. She works at the high school. You know Jackie.
I probably do.
You're going to have to edit that.
Yeah, edit that one. Yes, I know her.
Okay, you know Jackie Eichhoff.
I do.
So she told me I had to listen to My Favorite Murder. Have you ever listened to that?
No. Oh my gosh.
Do you do any true crime stuff?
You know what, Erin? Go look at my Facebook page. Seriously, I posted something last night that is hilarious. No, have you seen the skit from Saturday Night Live?
No.
The new one. Go look at it. It's just go on YouTube and Saturday Night Live murder shows or true crime shows.
Seriously?
It is so hilarious. And then they talk about, and last night I watched this one, and then today I listened to a podcast, and the guy in the podcast I think was the same guy in the murder show. It was just hilarious. I mean, their skits, it's like the one Did You See for Christmas? Like the mom who's
yes.
and I got nothing.
Yeah.
And
I
and that's
got
how
a
it
robe.
is. Yes, exactly. And that's exactly how it is. So it's
okay,
hilarious.
so you have to watch this one because, or listen to this one because it is so funny. And like, it's a true crime podcast, but there's these two girls, and they just like go back and forth, and they are hilarious. They are so funny.
That's funny.
Yeah, Jackie's like, you have to listen to that, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, how is it funny? But it's not. So is it? They aren't like making fun of true crimes. Yeah. They are just hilarious together, and then they tell stories. Yeah. So
it's like the two moms that have the traveling.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't even think what it's called. But yeah, I know what it is. Yeah.
Whatever that. I know.
Yeah, because
exactly
they've been traveling. Like they're on stages everywhere.
Yeah.
They were anyway for a while. So
anyway, you have to go listen to that.
I got to check it out. Yeah. So
when you need a break from real estate.
Oh, exactly. Well, you know what? My favorite thing to do is just laugh and have fun. And when I do have time off, even here at the office, we managed to do that, plenty of times. So, but yeah, go check out that skit on SNL. It is hilarious. So yeah, just posted that last night. So it's so funny you asked me that. Funny. So yeah.
Because I kind of feel like we're them. Like
I know exactly. Yeah. Right. Well, if you can't have fun, life's just too short, in my opinion. So
I agree.
Right. Eve, what do you think?
Hi, Eve.
I always like to put her on the spot. She's like, oh. She's so cute. Anyway,
she's awesome.
Yeah, we are very excited to have future guests on. Anybody who has any inkling that they want to be in here, either with Erin or myself, we won't make fun of you.
People.
Yeah, exactly. So businesses, we plan on having every business in Columbus and surrounding areas on, all the agents, all the tenants in Parkway Plaza. And coming up, we'll talk more about some of the big projects we have. The biggest one I can think of would be the Cattlemen's Ball coming up in June. And so that will be exciting for all of us. And anything else that we just did Go Red. So I know I'm forgetting some that are probably coming up. So we'll talk more about that. And I think Best of Columbus is coming up, so we better get our ballots in. And so, I have plenty of guests on my slate, so you'll have to come up with some.
Start working on it.
That's right. So this has always been fun. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
All righty.